Alright, welcome to another video, but here I'm going to implement is this PDF reader with Vue and Nuxt dynamically, meaning we're going to let the user add a PDF URL, okay? And because one of the great things of Nuxt is that it provides us some composable functions, because at the end of the day, underneath the hood, Nuxt unlocks new full stack capabilities, so we can develop our applications, whether it's a single page application, server side rendering, or universal rendering, as well as the incremental static regeneration or static site generation. No matter which rendering strategy we use, Nuxt allows us to do and cover each one of those use cases. So, but for our example, okay, I'm going to rely on Axios, which is a promise-based HTTP client that works on Node and the browser, that allows to do this XHR requests. Okay, so here on this, okay, so on the server it uses the native Node.js HTTP model, and on the client it uses the XML HTTP requests, which this is heavily using Ajax programming, this asynchronous JavaScript programming, so we can fetch data without reloading the page. And that's exactly what do we want here. Okay, so in this video I'm going to implement is the loading PDF features, okay, like this. And since I'm using is Tailwinds to do this, I actually get this element, and which is something that we can see. Nuxt routing set up successfully, current routes, and learn more about Nuxt routing. So we're actually is showing is some additional data. Okay. So now let me do is this. So the whole point of this is, after I click on load, okay, so let me refresh this, okay, okay, it take quite amount of time, okay. Let me close this and we open it here. Okay, let me rerun the dev server. Okay, that's right, good. And now the server is processing. That's right. So after I click here on the load, it will show the loading screen. Okay, and one of the great things is that this download feature, once you make a request or doing this network operations request specifically, it allows to show the downloading progress for XML. So XHR allows you to here this XHR, okay, XHR objects, or this XML HTTP request object allows to interact that, so we can implement this downloading and uploading features here. So okay, good. So now that I installed that in the on the application. So now that I install Axios here, so I'm going to import Axios from here, okay, and take a closer look at how can we import Axios, okay. So for the examples here, so if I import Axios here, interesting. Let me now take a closer look at the Mozilla docs and how can I import that using the ESM as an ESM model, the Axios Instance. Okay. Interceptor for that. Do something before request is sent. Okay. Add a response intersector. Any status code that lies within the range 200 cause this function to trigger and do something with the response data. Okay. So the question is, how can I, for example, import that? How can I import that in order to gain TypeScript typing for intelligence? Okay, note CommonJS usage. While using CommonJS import would use the following approach. Okay. A little example of using that. So, for example, if I want to use Axios with ESM, okay, Axios ESM example. So how to import via URL using ES model, but with Axios. Let me look at this. Specifically, let me take a closer look at this Axios here from the GitHub repo. As more and more people start using ECMAScript model system, Axios should provide an ESM version that allows importing in a browser rather than only in Webpack environment. A year has passed, yet no supports ESM finally, so my suggestion is that the entire source code be ES out of the box. So I'm happy to have a stab at converting the whole repo. Is there a chance anyone will ever emerge? Let me know. Type feature proposal and remove from this. I had to compile a local version of Axios to have it is ESM compliant in order to use it with Vite. Would love to see if this piece of work starts. Axios with U3 complaints, no import default. Any update on this? Okay. This tool is something I'm working on. The first step is fixing the test suites to work better and cover more in codebase. I'm about 60% done with. New build tools. If your feature request related to a problem, this is right here. A bit against TypeScript, but not typing per se. I think that is a great. over the next few months from this. Stabilized model implementation. Fixes broken types for response config. They don't have any to this. But this is log. Okay, question is, what if I take a closer look at this, by the way? So, to make our life much more simpler, I'm just going to use the package straightforward like this. Okay? So, Axios. Alright? As Axios. And here, okay, now if I go back to the code like this, that's right. So here is where I'm going to do that. So Axios here is the get, okay, and let me take a closer look at the API, okay, especially if I want to make a here where most of the time this will be something like this. So like this. So Axios get that. So let me pass this to PDF URL because after all I'm doing a get request. Okay. So this will get is the response. And if I want to access to any of those interceptors, okay, so in the interceptors, like this, here, once you get this, we can is just to bring just to, so once I perform this, okay, the question is, how am I receiving this data? Because here I need to make this, see, this is a promise, I need to wait for that, okay. Here I'm going to pass is the value, and then now that I get that, okay, here is when I would like to access to the response body, like console.log here. So I should be I should get access to the body. but it seems like the response. So if I make this HTTP request here, okay, like this. So if I now go back here to the browser, okay, I'm getting is the data from this, but the data here it contains is the headers, the requests, but interesting. I would like to get access to the body of this. I would like to get access to the body. Oh my god, no. Come back. Okay. So, loading behavior or download behavior using Axios. Okay. On the load progress, so you have a handler for that. On the load progress, which is something that I should be able to look at this, okay, at the Axios API, as well as the Axios Instance, okay, request configuration, and here you guys on the request configuration on the load progress. So function for progress event allows handling a progress event for downloads browser only, which is exactly that we want. So upload progress and download progress. So that's exactly what I want. So on download progress, here you got is a progress event. Okay. So on download progress, which is here, at the second argument here. So here we need to pass that as an object. Where I'm going to call this on download progress. Okay, and I just want to know what's going on here on the progress event. The progress event with native progress event, because after all I know how to implement that. I need to read that response header like content.length. Okay, exactly. That's right, and here is where you get the progress event current target response at length. This is very narrow and specific to the client. Okay, very narrow specific to the client. Okay, so here, okay, now that I'm looking at this, so this is how can we implement this, the total parser float, where you get is the content length. Okay, here you're gonna mention is the total length, so count total length. Okay, is equal to the progress event current target response header with content length. Okay, right after that I will now be able to get access to the current length. Exactly, so the current length, once you get access to the progress event dot a current target exactly dot response dot length, which is it indicating is the value of the current value at that moment. Okay, so there is no need to parse that, much like when you do using plain old fetch API. And when it comes to the percentage, or something that I define here, so I can call is the loading percentage dot value with the math. Let me now move on to the code. Okay, with the math floor. Okay, we're now here. I'm just going to divide is the current by the total length and multiply that by 100. Progress event loaded or progress event total. So with this, okay, so now Axios make it much more easy when it comes to handling loading events. Why? Or don't load in progress, because you can access to the progress event dot loaded, progress event dot loaded, all right, and then divide, which means the current, and then divide that with the progress event total, which is the content length, and then you multiply that by 100. Okay, so what it's doing behind the scene is actually parse that. Okay, so now it is time to put that at practice. So go to the code here, okay, and go back to the Firefox here, load that, and there you got it. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Okay, that's great because that's what allowed the Axios library. This HTTP, this promise-based HTTP client that on the browser it used the XML HTTP request or XHR object, and on the server side it used the HTTP model from Node. Awesome. So okay, All right, that's actually very interesting, by the way. That's actually very, very interesting here. And now what I'm gonna do here is this. PDF content, which is a reactive reference of null at the beginning right now. And so you're gonna show this content okay, and then after you do this, the PDF content, which is the value to the response here, where in there you have is the data for that. Okay, and we can use is now a composable function, which is it comes from the use router or use router here. Okay, but now let me define is the router here. So the router here. So here we can navigate to a particular page here with this content. So in here we're going to define is the PDF render, like so. So here is this. Learn more about Nuxt routing. It actually creates this underneath the hood. Okay. But in my case, I don't want that, by the way. Okay. In fact, I just wanted to do this. This is the Nuxt page. And I just want to load this. When here, you're going to import this component. Okay. So this is our index. Okay. So this is the first URL. Here we can define something like load PDF. Okay. As a route here, load PDF. Where in here I'm going to call is this is the load PDF. Let me use this the boilerplate from view. Okay, so load PDF dynamically, right? So we can remove this from here, and another component that'll be the load PDF. Okay, and this. Okay, so the whole point of this. So if we can make our life much more simpler, we don't need to define is a load PDF here. In fact, we can just do this at the index page. Okay, and this will show is so this will show is the proper page. So now, and I refresh, that's right. And if I load this, it's supposed to show the loading. That's right. Okay. For that. Okay. Okay. So you load this properly. Okay, that's right. So now that I implement this feature, okay, which is great, that'll be all for this video. So take care. Bye bye.